Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's show of America's Podcast. I hope you guys are tuned in right now. I am live right now on Rumble. I am also live on YouTube and Twitch. So I set it up for Facebook, but I haven't had an account there long enough for America's Podcast because this is a brand new podcast, man. So I haven't had it set up just yet, right? But I will. I will. Okay, so it's already set up on Facebook. I need 60 days. So I got about 30 days, maybe another 20, another 3 weeks. We'll have another, we'll be able to go live there. That's what I was trying to get at, man. I was a little tongue twisted. But anyway, I want to welcome everybody to America's Podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed the last one. I'm sorry on the video podcast. It's I hate it because I was having so many audio difficulties, right? And then all of a sudden, it was just glitching and glitching. And then I figured it out at the very end of the podcast. I had a button pushed in that I shouldn't have, right? My bad. I'm sorry. I re-recorded it and put it on audio. Remember, right now you're catching us live on audio right now on Spreaker. So we are Spreaker Live. That's Spreaker, Spreaker, man. That's where you'll find us live. We're right here. Check it out. And after that, after today's live podcast, you'll find it on Apple podcast. You'll find it on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the big ones. You'll find our America's Podcast. Now, if you caught the last podcast, I talked about I believe social media and how it affected a lot of people and how it affects you mentally, and I did before that I talked about farming, things like that, because it affects everything that happens with America's farmers. Things like that affects the economy, right? And because the prices of inflation, you get where I'm going here, right? This is where I'm going. Now, today's is a live podcast. So here in a bit, I'm going to turn on the phone number here at the bottom. You can actually call in here in a bit and have a conversation with me about, today's about work mode. So we're going to talk about what happens as a blue collar worker, construction, it could be a nurse, it could be, anything like that. Like if you work in the railroad, HVAC, if you do maintenance, if you're a mechanic, things like that you have those kind of technical skills that have actually helped you raise your income just a little bit more. And without it, like, what would you do without it, right? If you didn't have that kind of trade as a of what you're doing today. Now, I always like to salute the troops. Okay, so we always. I love to thank everybody that's out there in our military, because without them, we wouldn't have our freedoms and liberties that we do. So, of course, the Army, the Navy, we have the Coast Guard, we have Space Force. We do have Space Force. We have the Marines, the National Guard, everybody, and in the Air Force. We cannot forget the Air Force, because those guys are super important on everything that keeps us safe here in the United States. Now, if you don't know what America's Podcast is about, we talk about everything American, right? In other words, everything that affects you here in the United States and affects your household, even anything like that. It could be political, it could be anything, right? And that's what this podcast is about. It's about to, just vent a little bit if you want to, right? And that's why I'm going to have that phone number. You can call and you can talk about yourself, about your job, if you love it, if you hate it, things like that, because not everybody enjoys what they do, right? And some people do, some people don't. As far as I do, I enjoy what I do. I'm gonna give you a little backstory about me. When I first started as a youngster in my 20s, whatever, of course, I did everything. I've done everything that there was, as far as trying to make it in my 20s, right? So I was a stalker, at a grocery chain for 2 or 3 years, right? I did that. At the same time, I was a manager at a chicken place, right, for 2 years. So I did all that, and then I was just all over the place, right? Just getting jobs here and there. I just couldn't figure out a trade, right? That's something that was going to get me a little bit more higher than my pay grade than what I was at, right? Because, at the 20s, it's hard, man. As a kid, you want to spend stuff, you want to get out there, you want to, just live your life in that sense, right? Because, we're wild and crazy nice. Hey, what can I say? But after that, I just started getting into different things, right? I finished school. I had to get finish my GED. I went and got that. And once I did that, actually became a police officer. I went to school. I went to the police academy here in South Texas, and I did that, right. So I did that for a few years, and then it wasn't paying really what I wanted to do it, but it just didn't want to pay, right. So I jumped into something different, right? Totally different. Went into kind of like a construction kind of job, which was paying a lot more at the time. I'm talking in the early 90s, early 2000s, right? So here we go. My life is starting to jump up. I'm scaling up on my pay grade, right? Because it's getting harder and harder to make ends meet. Do you go through that? I know I do, right? Especially at the time, from then even now. And what what made me go into a different type of work, right? So at this place where I was working, it was like a road and bridge department. They actually had a 18 wheeler sitting there. So I had already had my Class B license. I had worked as a school bus driver too in my 20s. I did that for 9 years. So I was like, all right, let me try the big trucks. Jumped into the big truck. Lo and behold, got my license, my Class A. There I was, all over, traveling all over the United States after that. For 16 years, I worked in the oil field right after that. Jumped into a bigger, higher bracket, right? Which I was getting hit with taxes. Bam, bam, bam. Who wasn't, right? Until 2008, 2007. Remember when we got that hit? Boom, we got hit. And oh my God, we thought it was over, right? For the oil field at the time, it was just everything just went to crap, total crap. So a lot of my friends lost their houses, they lost their trucks, they lost their cars, they lost their families. Even some of them actually committed suicide, right? And that was the horrible thing that we were going through back in those days, right? So I did that for a while, and then finally, I just said, what, I have to raise my son. So I had a younger child son, and as a single dad at the time, I had to raise him. So I went back and I went in reverse. I had to go back and pay grade, right? I was almost at $30 an hour, whatever, as a truck driver in the oil field. And I went back down to $8 an hour, right? Because I had to have weekends off. I had to raise my kid. That was the hardest time of my life, man, because how do you go from making that much amount of money to bam, almost nothing? Um, I mean, I'm talking two, $3,000 checks, at the time, and then all of a sudden I got my first check when I went into the HVAC, right? And my best friend got me in, and we worked our butts off, and he just gives me my first check. He goes, "There you go, man. You and me, man, we did really good." And then I looked at it. I ain't lying to you. There we go. It was $800, right? Now he goes, "Man, dude, that's a lot of money," right? I looked at him and I was like, no, that's not. I was bringing home $2,000-3,000, right? So I took a major pay hit, right? There I go, all over again. So I did that for 12 years, and it took me that long to get back to the pay grade that I was, right? Now I'm a professional technician. I do all that stuff. I got my license universally. That is a blue collar job. That was what I had to do to make ends meet and raise a younger son at the time, right? Now, is blue collar out there for everybody? It's not for everybody, but it sometimes it has to be. It has to be, right, to make ends meet, right? And what do you do to just keep on going and in succession, right? There are trade schools that you can go to up your game a little bit. Let's just say, right? There is that out there, and thank God that we have those, because without those, people wouldn't really, get where they needed to be, right? Uh, and those really helped a lot. As far as me, I got a little spoiled because I didn't have to go to trade school. I was on the job training, right? So if there's people out there that actually help people with on the job training, that's a really, really good thing. And that's what I did for all those years until I got licensed, right? That's what you have to do. And just to have the weekends off in oil field, I had one day off if I was lucky, right? So I was a workaholic, and I used to get into it with my boss back then, and we were really real cool with each other. But I said, "Hey, man, I work to live, not live to work." Right. And that was my motto. So that way I wouldn't go so hard on myself because my body was getting tired. Right. I'm getting older. Here it goes. Right. It happens to a lot of people, and a lot of people my age as far as that. Right. But those jobs are out there for all of us to able to do something different other than, not all of us had the money to go to college, right? And these expensive colleges to be an attorney. I wanted to be a chemical engineer. It didn't happen for me. It didn't. All right. It didn't. Kids popped out, bam, bam, bam. Hey, I gotta pay. That was the reality. Reality hit me hard, right? The chemical engineer never came to be. Is it too late? No, it's never too late, right? For anybody to go back to school. But I was able to overcome, right? Conquer and overcome. And that's what the American dream is, right? To conquer and overcome all of that, into one big basket. And it took 25 years or so, right, for that to happen. But it did. And there's a lot of programs out there that really, really help people out there, and I'm just going to give you a little, I'm going to show you this little video real quick that we made here on America's Podcast. And it just kind of gives you the realities of what it is. So let me just show you this real quick. Okay, here we go.
40 years ago, a blue-collar paycheck could support a family, cover the mortgage, and still leave room for savings. Today, that same paycheck barely covers rent with little left for anything else. The cost of living has skyrocketed, but wages have stayed the same. It's time to recognize the struggle of today's workers and demand change.
All right, so prices have skyrocketed. Our wages have not changed. How many of you guys out there feel that right now, or feeling that pinch? Right? I've been really complaining about this for a bit now. I want my freaking savings account back, man. And it's sometimes it's not just what's happening, it's policy, man, that actually affects us all. So just remember, whichever way you go, left or right, it doesn't matter, or independent, your vote counts on whatever is going to affect the economy. Just remember that, okay? If you want your savings account back, you already know which way to go, right? Whichever way you want it, whatever you think is the best. But, and some people are just better. Is it me, or do you think that, look, this is just my opinion. If you're running for president, right, I think you should mandatory be in the military, at least 4 years. This is just me. At least a degree in economics, right? And so that way, at least it can kind of make the right decisions, right? Does that make sense to you? I mean, it makes a little sense to me. And we've changed into different kind of ways, man. And I'm going to show you graphs here tonight about exactly why that is happening, right? To people, right? There's programs out there. There's one. I'm going to show you one right here real quick from Fox Business. This person, she put something together for the young folks to actually make a difference, right? To show them the blue collar jobs that are out there that'll actually help, right? That will help them in the near future, which is for girls. Come on, not just men are doing this. There's women out there doing this stuff. Everybody's doing this because the trade school is what it's at. Electricians, tech people out there, people that do fiber optic, the people that do the electricity, electricians, everything's out there that makes it work. Watch this video real quick. And then if you guys want to talk about it, we can. Here we go.
Back. Demand for skilled labor in the U.S. is rising, and now more women are entering the skilled trades. Joining us now is Judalyn Cassidy, founder of Tools and Tiaras. Judalyn, I am so pleased that you're able to join us on set to talk a little bit about your background and what you're doing now. Just to introduce everybody, you are a immigrant from Trinidad.
Yes.
You came to the U.S. and realized college might not be within reach for you, so you became a plumber. I think check the box for the American dream right there. But you continue to pay it forward with Tools and Tiaras, where you introduce young girls to the trades. Tell us about that and why.
The reason why I did it is because the skilled trades is a game changer for women. And if more women get into this, it will change your economic status. It is so lucrative, and also esteem-wise, there's nothing like being able to master tools.
We're showing some video of what some of the young girls do in your camp. It's painting, it's welding, it's carpentry. Tell us more about what they learn.
They learn plumbing, they learn sheet metal, iron working, every skill trades that help build America, that's what we teach them because they're very important, the skill trades.
We are all parents here. Each of us have daughters up here,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is so interesting because where are girls otherwise exposed to the trades?
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you, so I've got 14, 15-year-old daughters,
Yes.
and we're thinking about what's next. I would love for them to have an interest in the trades, but it just like every time I kind of bring it into their purview, it gets bounced off somehow. How do you break through to young girls who maybe haven't been introduced to this before?
What we're doing right now, by they looking and seeing me, they can see themselves. When they come to Tools and Tiaras and meet the amazing tradeswomen, they can see themselves. We have to make it visible. By you giving me this opportunity to be here is making them see the possibilities. That's what it's all about. Like, it's not seen, it's not shown in commercials.
Right.
It's not in movies. The plumber should be me in the movie, should be a woman. Like, that changes everything.
All right. Is that a wonderful program that she's got there? She's just telling you that this is real. This is something that helps build America, right? Of what it is, and what it should be, right? We should all be working together to try to, make everything the best it can be, especially in America. I know it's hard right now because they're financial, man. I mean, everybody's feeling that pinch. That freaking pinch, man, of the economy, of food so expensive. It's all out there that we're just bringing home a paycheck, and we're just barely making ends meet. And especially for the single parents out there that only have one income, how hard is it for them? Now rent is through the roof, man. It's through the freaking roof. And how do you make ends meet? If you want to talk about it, call me right now, and we'll have a conversation, man, and we'll put you on the air and, talk about what's happening to you right now in the state of mind and how it affects you and your daily family or just yourself, or if it doesn't affect your family or doesn't affect you, are you doing well? And how is it that you're doing it, to make it in this hard economy right now that people say that's supposed to be doing well. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I don't know about you guys. I don't see it. Do you guys see it out there? That's my thing. So, give me a call, and I'll put you on the line, and let me turn it on here so we can get some calls going through, and let's hear what you have to say about, what's happening to you out there, because I told you my story and it's still going. It's still a struggle. I'm not saying it's peachy. It's not peachy for anybody, right? But we have to, persevere and overcome these obstacles in order to make ends meet. Sometimes you have to get, extra side jobs or whatever you have to do, to make that extra buck to pay the groceries, right? Hey, how do we, man, groceries used to come out with $100. You can come out with 5, 6, 7 bags. Now you're lucky if you get 2 bags, and that's without chemicals. If you're buying the chemicals like the Clorox and your soaps and your detergents and all that stuff, you already blew $100 in one bag, right? Hey, man, that is what's happening right now. We are getting affected by this, and the thing is, as you're working your butt off, everything's getting higher, but your pay grade, right? Isn't that the truth? Everything's getting higher, but your pay grade. And I mean, what do you think they should do in order to raise your pay grade? How do you think that's going to happen? They want to hit the big brother. One side wants to hit the big industries, the other side doesn't, right? And really, in reality, if you look at it this way, right? Look at it this way. If you have a large corporation or company and they don't hit you big with taxes and all, and what you're paying, you're able to employ extra people. Once they start hitting you with all these taxes, it's costing you a leg and an arm, and then you have to move to a different state or a different country. You're going to lose a lot of employees, right? Which is going to affect the economy, right? You're not going to have the people out there. Oh, I'm getting a call now. Let's see what they have to say on this subject, right? Are you there? Oh, that sounded like they hung up. They'll call back. They'll call back. All right. But anyway, I mean, how is this affecting you out there? It's just terrible to me that we have to constantly just be working our butts off in order to make it. All right. Hello. Let me see if we can get somebody out. Let me see if we can get somebody online.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you there?
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
What you got to say today in America's Podcast?
Well, I tell you, I know how a lot of people feel because nobody seems to have that, can stretch the dollar whatsoever. I mean, I've got lots of friends that have either their homes because they've lost their jobs and they've had to move out.
Right.
And they're living on the streets. I know that our dollar's not going very far anymore, especially since if you're a single income household.
Right.
So, that's always a big issue. And for me, it's very frustrating because here I would love to retire, but I can't even think about doing that because of the prices of gas, food. I mean, I travel an hour every day just to go to work. And it's just very hard for anybody to make a living these days. I mean, heck, I went from putting in a couple of years ago, maybe $40 every week to
right.
Now it's $67. So, I mean, it's getting much higher. And savings is totally out of the question.
Wow.
So I know how frustrated people can be or can get because then you go to Walmart and you see all your Walmart greeters out there. These poor guys are in their 70s and 80s, which should be retired and enjoying life, but instead they're having to work because they have to figure something out with their income.
Exactly. I mean, has it affected you as far as like, I know the fuel, and how about the mortgages, things like that? Has it anything fluctuated or changed because of the economy?
Yeah. Well, we got hit huge. So I was very frustrated because I was already barely making as was with a mortgage. And then all of a sudden the county assessor decides to reassess our taxes, and then the insurances all went up. So it went up like $400.
Wow.
And that was crazy because I'm like, what happened? I mean, I can't afford $400 more a month. I'm barely making it paycheck to paycheck now.
Right.
So, I mean, I had to do a lot of digging and checking with other insurance companies to see whether they have a better price that I can use, so that way I can bring that down. Maybe applying at the county assessors of head of household to get a deduction on my taxes. And I mean, I did everything and anything I could to try to bring that back down to where I can afford it.
So it must be hitting the anxiety levels at times too, because I know a lot of mortgages at the beginning or the end of the month, and that's when all the bills hit at the same time. Is it affecting to where it's almost hard to put food on the table as well?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I'm not buying groceries every week now. I just go once a month, and I only get just the minimal on the weekly basis. If I need eggs or bacon, bread, milk. Milk's almost $4. I mean, I can't believe it.
Wow.
So, I even started making bread because it was a little bit easier to make the bread, and I can make it as I go, so we can have enough for the week. But things are kind of tight. I mean, if meat goes on sale and I see a good sale, then what I'll do is I'll buy the pack and divide it in 4 or 5 different meals so I can make it with something, and at least it'll last us for a while.
Wow.
But it's been very difficult. I'm sure everybody's feeling the pinch. I know that a lot of my coworkers are having the same issue.
Yeah.
They're paycheck by paycheck.
Right.
And of course, they tell you, oh yeah, we're going to give you a little raise, but now all of a sudden your insurance goes up, your medical goes up, your dental goes up. So much for the increase because everybody hits you.
Right.
So how is that fair to the American? That is trying to work to make a living to put food on the table.
Exactly. I mean, because it's like the rates are going up, but your pay rate is not compensating that amount, even to have an extra $5 or $10 left over, to whatever you need to get. Right. So in other words, our little small things that we had for, let's just say, a little extra cash to go to the movies, or just go out for dinner or whatever, it's really starting to diminish, which is starting to affect a lot of these local restaurants owners. Have you had in your area and a lot of shutdowns out there because of that?
Well, there's been a few restaurants where there's no waiters or waitresses because they can't find the help, and I don't know whether it's because it's still kind of the COVID thing that everybody was staying home and they were isolated. Now they're afraid to come out, or they're just not paying, or if they are paying, it doesn't seem to be helping any. I mean, things are going crazy. Even some of the fast foods, your Burger King, your McDonald's, your Taco Bell. I mean, heck, I went to Taco Bell last week because I thought for $5 I can get maybe $6, get a little quick meal,
Right.
and there was hardly any meat on it at
Yeah.
all. I mean,
Wow.
I was like, "Where's the meat?"
Yeah, and soon they'll be substituting that meat for something different. You know what I mean? Where it's not really 100%
Well,
ground beef anymore, right?
that's right. So I mean, it's not. I was talking to a friend of mine who has cows, and I said, "Hey," I said, "by chance, how much is a cow? You know, I mean, what if I split one with somebody? You know?" And she goes, "Oh gosh," she goes, "they're like $1,700. I mean, they're like $1,200, and you have to still pay to pack it and everything else and have it." I said, "Oh, forget that. I guess I'll go by the deals."
Well, even I saw a video with Russell Crowe and what's his name, Joe Rogan, and Russell Crowe has a large ranch in Australia where he raises his own cattle. He only has, like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or less than that a head of cattle, maybe less than that, because he says because there's too many. It's too much to handle, right? But he only started off with a few head of cattle, and then it started growing. Time he knew, he said I had 200. But he goes, we just keep those for ourselves. That's for our to consume. We raise them, our way, with grass fed, things like that. Not too many chemicals in them, because he just doesn't trust the meats or anything out there of what they're starting to substitute everything with, right? And I think the reason they're just substituting a lot of stuff because, of course, meat is super expensive, right? So they have to add something in there. Remember the soy when they put in hamburgers? They still do that, but it just affected him that way to where he just uses that meat for his own family. Does that make kind of sense?
Well, yeah, and that's just, and I became had a little bit of an allergy to the meat now, and I thought it was because of all the antibiotics they put into the animals. And I thought, well, what the heck's going on? And so there's a lot of stuff that's going into our products there because they're trying to beef it up, and I mean everything across the board, from anything that you buy now to, I mean, even some of the chips that we bought the other day, those mixes, those party mixes. They started putting Cheetos in those to kind of, as fillers,
right,
to make them more, so that way they put less of the product.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's just across the board for everybody. And I thought, and it's just not working for anybody. So something needs to change. So hopefully when we get a new president, it's got to change, because the mortgage rates are outrageous and all the interest is just insane. Nobody can afford anything.
Right.
And I mean, that's why everybody's living in tents now.
Do you think that because we're talking about blue collar, do you think that sometimes it's better to be in the blue collar industry to make it these days, because it's hard to do it like at, let's just say, McDonald's or a grocery store or stuff like that? I mean, does that kind of you're thinking that a lot of people should be doing?
Well, it helps, but you need more than one single income in the household, because it's probably not even enough.
Right.
I mean, it helps. I mean, I certainly came from working with an apartment complex back in the day as an assistant or leasing agent, to working at an assisted living. I had 2 jobs, so I had to do that around the clock,
Right.
in order for me to make a living for my 2 kids.
Wow.
So, and then I moved into a higher position and, into commercial property, and it's a little bit better, but I'm still not quite making it.
Wow.
So with my husband being on Social Security, it's like, okay. So it's just difficult. I don't think that they're compensating Americans the way they should be.
Yeah, that's a true statement. Well, thank you for calling in today. I mean, I you give a lot of people a lot of different stuff. It's because it's happening to you out there. I hope everything gets better as we get a new president, or hopefully their policies will be a lot better than what we have today. Like I said, just thank you for calling the show today.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
All right,
bye-bye.
bye. right, guys. So, she just told you exactly, what was happening in her situation. And it's similar to what my story is in a sense, right? Because it's hard. It was harder for her I mean, now even as a better job, she's still struggling, right? Man, I mean, we're getting hit hard. A lot of folks out there, a lot of people. And jobs they just don't pay what they seem to pay, right? Anymore. They don't. And there's a little article here that I want to show you guys, that it just says the data from ZipRecruiter shows that the wages that employers are offering new hires in several blue collar sectors of the labor market have declined this year. This is 2023, okay, with the retail wages falling more than 55.9, followed by agriculture at minus 24.5, manufacturing at minus 17.3, and transportation at minus 13.9, right? So it says the average posted pay has risen since the year overall, but most job categories, from ZipRecruiter Chief Environment, Julie Polak's Fox Business, trends that it's diverged across different parts of the economy, with growth picking up with the white collar sector and slowing down in the blue collar sector, right? She was just talking about how a lot of people just they can't find where she's at in the area, that they can't find people as waitresses, things like that. It's hard for them, right? A lot of things have dropped, and there's been a hard economic hit, man, that if you guys kind of remember, it's gonna be hard. If you guys haven't lived back that far, I'm going to show you this chart, and it just shows how we got hit with the economy really, really hard, right? So this chart's showing from about 1913 all the way to 2020, 2025, right? In between, like where we are today. Now you see from 1913 all the way to 1970. Once you hit 1970, the percentage went up over 284.69% in 1969, right? In 1979, it's at 682%. 1989, 1186. December 2009, 2103%. This is high, right? This is how much inflation has gone up since 1970. Now, see that peak? Now, why was it so low at this part? Because you got to remember, in the 1930s, we had the depression where stocks fell, everything kind of fell apart and stayed at the bottom. Then we had the war that was from the 1940s and the 50s, right? And so that kind of kept everything at a level. But once we hit 1970s, bam, everything kind of just skyrocketed up to the top, right? And these are the percentages of cumulative inflation, right? That has grown ever since then. What does that, man? And why we get hit so freaking hard like that? Everything has gone up. And this is what we were talking about earlier. Everything has gone up except your pay, right? And how is it going to, even if we get a new president, things get fixed? I mean, right now, I think it was Chevy and all these new trucks. I saw a video. They have a whole lot or acres of these brand new trucks that they can't sell because they're $80,000 to $100,000 trucks. They can't sell them. They're too freaking expensive for people to buy these trucks. Beautiful trucks. I mean, to me, this is me personally, I don't think a vehicle should cost $80,000 to $100,000, man, for four wheels. Come on now. Everybody, if you notice, are starting to buy used vehicles because they're getting the pinch of everything else. They're starting to get vehicles that don't waste a lot of fuel. Of course, they're hitting the EVs, and I get that part too. But it's EVs again, give and take, right? You're gonna either waste electricity grid, or fuel or whatever. Everything's gonna be kind of green, whatever you want to call it. It's all hitting the same way. Okay. And we're all trying to save a buck here. But so what I did was, you just saw that chart from 1970 to 2023, right? So I asked the AI, right? I said, why did our everything just inflation blow up from 1970s and up at that pivotal moment from 1970 and up, right? And this is pretty much what it told me. It says in 1970 saw a number of economic issues that lasted impact, right? Stagflation. The 1970s is a period of high inflation with high unemployment, known as stagflation. Combined with these two factors, known in the misery index, peaked at 2016 and 1980 or something like that. 2.6, I'm sorry, 20.6. The Great Inflation, which is the Great Inflation period, rising lasted from the 1970s into the 1980s, right? The inflation rate reached 14% in 1980. The abandonment of the World War II monetary system, right? The global monetary system established during the World War II was abandoned during the 1970s. So that hit us again, right? That's where all of that was going, right? Then we had the recession again. It saw 4 economic recessions from 1970. Energy shortages in 1970, severe energy shortages, wage and price controls, right? 1970, that says unprecedented implementation of wage and price controls during the peacetime. This is what's happening now. Do you ever hear that part that people always say, well, history repeats itself? Hello, what's happening right now? Reduced government authority. 1970 saw a shift in economic decisions making from the government and marketing forces, right? So, bam, here we go. Is history repeating itself again? Are we going to get hit again and we're going to hit skyrocket, or are we going to just crash and burn, right? That is just a hard thing to comprehend, right? And to get across. And how do we fix this, right? Economics, man. You know how to fix this? I hate to say it. We need our energy back. Once we get our energy back, fuel prices go down. People have a couple extra bucks in their pocket, right? What used to cost me 50, 60 bucks to fill up my truck, now it's 100, right? So the extra 40 bucks that I could be saving right now could go to a restaurant or buy something extra that I need, right? That's where the economic boom it'll start leveling out. You gotta hit our power source, man. We need fuel. We need electricity. We need all that good stuff, right? That's the best way to do it. Start right there. That's where you start. Open the pipelines, open it all up. Actually, we have used up the only reason you're seeing lower gas prices right now, and I'm going to tell you why. I was in oil field 16 years dealing with OPEC and all that good stuff, right? I was watching oil prices, how much they were spending a barrel every day because I wanted to make sure that I was going to get a paycheck, right? Of course, OPEC is owned by the Saudis. They control everything. They control the energy costs, right? Right now, your gas prices are low because they're using our reserves, man. Everything that we had there as reserves are using it. So that way you know which way you want to vote. Hey, no, I don't fall for that one. I already know what's going on. So we had a lot of reserves. We're going really low on reserves. If, God forbid, we get hit with something because catastrophic, we're screwed. All right. So we need to replenish and fill up our tanks all over again. Get that going. Keep our gas prices low. Start, and then help the large corporation, with their taxes as well. Because the lower the taxes, the more people they hire, the more money gets to get dispersed throughout the United States and the country. That's how it works. Everything starts rising and going back to normal. You start getting your savings account back. That's how it works, right? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, right? Hey, I just told you how to do it. I hope they're listening out there, because that's the way to do it, man. And I'm glad I had a caller today because that really helped out, understand that I'm not the only one struggling with this. There's millions and millions of people out there that are actually struggling with the same thing, right? The hit. And with America we have to work together, man. I don't care if you're left or right. What we have to work together because America is not the superpower it used to be. We need to make it a superpower all over again. Make it a superpower. We need to be self-sufficient. Get out of everybody else's business and start dealing with our own business, right? These are just my personal views right now, but I'm telling you that this is how this will help people in the blue collar community, people in the regular community to start getting more money on their paychecks, right? And this will help offset everything. Bring the rent, the people's rents down, mortgages down. The interest rates, bring them back down to where they were, so people can start buying houses again, man. They don't have to pay, 3 times or 2 times a mortgage for what they were paying 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Doesn't make sense, man. And this will help as many blue collar workers as possible, right? This will help a lot of people that are struggling today, and some people have to hit their Social Security early because they're not making it. They're not freaking making it, man. And that's unfortunate that is happening. And I wish it could be better, but it's not. It's not. And the only way we're gonna fix this is we got to fix it ourselves. Really, reality, and we have to work together. And it starts with me. It starts with patriotism. Have patriotism. Love your country no matter what, man, and stick behind everything that's positive impact on our economics, right? To make everything grow, to make everything the way it was, right? There's so many angry people. Have you noticed that? Oh my God! Today, we have a local newspaper here that posts crap every day, right? And it's always something negative, somebody getting shot, somebody getting stabbed, yada yada, whatever. Here we go. So I kind of answered him a little bit. I was like, "Hey, was this person supposed to be here?" Oh my God! Oh my God! They got their feelings hurt, right? How can you say something like that? I'm like, no, because some man got murdered right out here. He got stabbed, and I said, I got attacked by so many people that were butthurt about that. But I was telling them no, because we want to make sure we have a paper trail on this person. Right? I used to be a police officer. A paper trail on this person and know what he did or done in the past. So this gentleman that passed away, that didn't need to die, gets justice, right? And the justice that he deserves. So, and there was so many people angry at me. And this is what I'm getting at. People right now are walking on eggshells because of what's happening, not just around them, but in their pocketbooks. Everything, it's like we are a walking time bomb. And we shouldn't be that way with each other. Regardless of the situation, we should always stand up for justice and stand up for somebody that was innocently, killed, or what, how else are you going to put it, right? And after they attacked, I attacked back because that's what I do. I love America, man. That's why I attack back. I love it. And you should too, right? We should all work together as patriots, right? And have patriotism, man. Fly your flags for our military, past, present, and future. Because of that, we're not going to have a flag anymore. Without them. They made the ultimate sacrifice. Remember that. A lot of them did. But I'm going to show you a small little video before I leave. I want us all to work together and be patriots and be good to each other, man. Regardless of what, we can agree to disagree. Remember that. You don't have to fight each other. You don't have to shoot each other. You don't have to stab each other. You can agree to disagree, make your points, shake hands, be done with it, right? Walk away. Best way to do it. I'll show you this last video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's America's Podcast. Give me a thumbs up. Follow me here on Rumble. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. Good evening. Somebody said good evening there on Twitch. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for calling in the show today. Next podcast I'm going to have, I'm going to tell you. So, it's going to be about the American dream. people that have to start over, and is there a way to have the American dream, right? In other words, if you come into this country legally and you want to do the American dream, how has this worked for you, right? Is the American dream still there? Is this still possible? Or is this still possible for anybody out there after finishing school, college? Is the American dream still out there? This is what this next podcast is going to be about. Catch it next week here on America's Podcast, all right? Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up. Enjoyed you guys watching today. Appreciate you. Love you guys. Be patriots. We'll see you soon.
Patriotism is the heartbeat of our nation, a powerful force that unites us across diverse backgrounds and beliefs. It's in the pride we feel when we see our flag waving, a symbol of freedom and resilience. Every time we come together to celebrate our shared history, we strengthen the bonds that tie us as Americans. From the sacrifices of our veterans to the everyday acts of kindness in our communities, patriotism inspires us to rise above our differences. It reminds us that we are part of something greater than ourselves, a tapestry woven from countless stories of courage and hope. In moments of challenge, it's this spirit that ignites our determination to stand together, to support one another, and to strive for a brighter future. Let us embrace this love for our country, not just in words, but in actions that uplift and inspire. Together, we can build a legacy of unity and strength that echoes through generations.